Oh, hey, I was just doing some farming. Speaking of farming, wife's been playing a lot of Stardew Valley lately. Like, a lot of Stardew Valley lately. Which reminds me that I used to play a lot of Stardew Valley. Like, a lot of Stardew Valley. And I thought, I need some content. Fuck it, I'll do a video about the politics of Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is a 2016 game created by Eric Barron. In it, he lived the life of a farmer, growing crops, raising animals, befriending townspeople, starting a family, and descending into the darkest caverns to slay inhuman monsters. Did you ever play Harvest Moon? Because it's just like Harvest Moon, except it's as good as you remember it being without your nostalgia blinding you. You start the game working in a generic office job for the Joja Corporation, doing whatever you do in office jobs. I don't know, I've never had one. I've only ever had jobs in customer service. But then one day, your soul crushed by the burden of modern life and your bright spirit fading before a growing emptiness, you decide to move out to your grandfather's old farm. A place he once moved to find what really matters in life, real connections with other people and nature. Shortly after moving to your new farm, the town mayor takes you to see the local community centre, which is in a state I would describe as Queensland are inhabited by students. The mayor tells you that Joja Mart, the supermarket subsidiary of the Joja Corporation, wants to buy the land to build a warehouse, and if one more person, i.e. you the player, buys a Joja Mart membership, he's going to make the sale. So now you have your choice. You can either buy a membership with the Joja Mart, or you can work to restore the community centre. The way you restore the community centre is you bring gifts of produce from your farm to the forest spirits who dwell within the centre. These forest spirits are called Junimos, and oh look, here's one now! Hello there, little friend. Bring these little friends enough gifts and they'll magically fix up parts of the community centre and, as a bonus, fix up different things around town, opening up new areas for you to explore or shortcuts to get around town quicker. The alternative is to buy the Joja Mart membership, in which case the community centre is demolished and all the upgrades around town are unlocked by giving a big bag of money to the Joja Corporation. Choosing between financially supporting the Joja Mart and fixing the community centre is a binary choice. It's one or the other, with no in-between. To financially support the Joja Mart is to tear down the literal centre of the community and replace it with an extension of a soul-crushing corporation. To replace it with a warehouse that exists only to store nebulous things. Things that a town the size of Pelican Town cannot possibly require. Is the plan of Joja Mart to turn the entire town into a source of cheap labour for a regional distribution centre where employees will have their bathroom breaks timed to the very second? Yeah, probably. I mean, we already see Morris, the manager of the Joja Mart, engage in predatory pricing with the explicit goal of driving his competition out of town and establishing a monopoly for the Joja Mart. There's no way that dude wouldn't turn the entire town into one of those shitty Google campuses and start paying everybody in proprietary Joja Bitcoin that can only be redeemed at Joja Mart businesses like some kind of fucking company script. Morris is a piece of shit, and I guarantee you a union buster. Once the community centre is restored, a sequence plays where the town comes together and remembers what they lost when the community centre was gone. Their sense of community restored, the townspeople band together and pledge to boycott the Joja Mart. The Joja Mart is immediately bankrupted and run out of town. Unless you choose the other dialogue option where the local business owner uppercuts Morris so hard that he flies through the roof and presumably dies. The message of the game is clear. Only by restoring our sense of community and our connection to nature can we hope to drive out the capitalist corporations that are poisoning our lives. A single individual boycotting a company and acting on their own cannot make a difference in the world. But when an entire community comes together with a clear, actionable goal, that's how you make a difference in the world. Now, when doing this sort of analysis of a piece of media, it's important to know how far to take your interpretations. For example, in the game, you can't slaughter your animals. Cows and chickens are only raised for their milk and eggs. You don't, cut their throats or send them off to an abattoir to die violent deaths. Now, is the game making some sort of pro-vegetarian message about, how we should treat our animals? Or did Eric just decide that slaughtering animals is not a fun mechanic to include in an escapist video game? It's probably the latter, because you can actually kill and eat a lot of fish in this game. So in that spirit, here's a few more political messages you can glean from Stardew Valley if you decide to read too far into it. Stardew Valley advocates for a society free of police, but also a society free of fireys, ambos, and posties. Stardew Valley advocates for a form of governance where mayorship is a lifelong position and elections are never held. Stardew Valley advocates for a form of governance that has such rigid control of its towns that all entrances to buildings must be on the south side of the building, and only the south side of the building. Stardew Valley advocates for town design where all residents must keep their vehicles outside of town limits, as there is clearly no space for vehicles in the town, except for the mayor, who is clearly getting favourable treatment because he is of the ruling political class. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, Stardew Valley advocates for a society free of that ultimate symbol of the capitalist bourgeoisie: the toilet. Hey everyone, I'd like to take this time at the end of the video to thank my backers on Patreon. That's Booperdoop0965, Christy Williams, Debbie LaCroix, Malix, Michelle, Shirley, Unsurpassed Travesty, and Vicky, Queen of the Proles. Thanks to your generous support, I was able to buy a tripod to film this video on, so I did not have to do what I've been doing previously, which is put my camera on top of a stack of biscuit boxes that are on top of some books that are on top of a little hairdressing trolley. That all made it much easier to film this episode, and thank you enormously for your generous support. Have a great day, everyone.